I guess I can just.
All right. Thank you for coming for tonight's continuing education. I'm Diana Hinkle, and tonight we're going to talk about something that maybe you've never even heard of, and it's called Candida. When I first started in learning about essential oils, and this was back in 2010, I had no idea what Candida was. I heard it all the time. And it was like, what the heck is it? And I come from a very long career of dental, and I still didn't know what Candida meant, even though I probably should have. So once I figured out and found out, did my research to find out what Candida was, it was like, oh my gosh, this has a mirror of all kinds of problems, physical problems that collectively it creates in our body and over time. And so I feel like it's something everybody should know about. Even if they don't know a lot about it, they at least know what the basis of it are. So again, thanks for joining us on our continuing education, and for those of you that are going to be watching the replay as well. And we will get you through this and help you find what it is and that might be helpful for you. Okay, so what is Candida? Well, first of all, let me give you a little bit of background. Candida happens to be, so we all have bacterium, we all have yeast. So like if someone bites you, if a human bites you, you have more bacteria and yeast and such in your mouth than an animal does. Yes, they can carry diseases, but a human bite is worse than any other bite. So with that said, our body has good and bad when it comes to yeast in the body. And our body is supposed to take care of it and is supposed to let things die off and bring it back. But it is a fermenting yeast that normally is harmless in a normal everyday world. It has nothing, it won't do anything to us. It's a normal process of the body. It resides in the digestive tract, and it's an integral part of the intestinal ecology within small amounts. It's a fungi, okay? And it has to have a good balance of the fungus, right? Or else if it becomes too much, then it riddles our body for different reasons. And then if we've got to balance it back out. But how do we do that? So it's very hard. It's very helpful to be there for our digestive. That's how it works. And it helps us in synthesizing our vitamins and enzymes that we need to digest our foods. So because it exists everywhere in our body, basically, the more in our digestive system, when it overgrows, it becomes parasitic. And it can take root into the tissues and colonize and then create a lot of chronic inflammation, which contributes to a whole lot of different diseases and autoimmune issues. So a multiple of health problems. So when we look at those health problems, what kind of health problems what it does, what does it do to our health problems? What are they? What do they look like? So first off, right off the bat, you're going to have digestive problems, whether that's IBS, whether that's Crohn's, whether that's just a bloated gut. You could have a white tongue is yeast, an overgrowth of the Candida. It shows up in our mouth. So like a child or an infant that has a bacteria in there and overgrowth of they have thrush in their mouth, that's bacteria. That's Candida going on. Babies are born with sterile stomachs, and all of a sudden we introduce them to a whole lot of stuff. And so this plays havoc on their digestive tract. It's an easy fix, really. It also causes autoimmune diseases, allergies, infertility. It can cause skin irritations. It can cause headaches, fatigue, just a whole lot of things. An unbalanced state of our hormones. Maybe you're the every month for the women. Or you have an addiction to or cravings for a lot of sugars. You get a lot of bloating. It's also because it's a digestive thing, you might have a lot of toenail fungus too. Those are all good indications that you could have an overgrowth of Candida. Now, 80% of people running around this earth have a problem with Candida, overgrowth of Candida, and have no idea that they even have the problem. And it affects women 8 times more than it does men. Why this is, I don't know. But us women are more likely to have a Candida overgrowth than the men do. I'm going to say it has a lot to do with our reproductive organs and the things that we do on a daily basis versus what the men do and the way our bodies function. How do you deal with Candida overgrowth? Well, first of all, you got to think of where it comes from. Why do you get an overgrowth of Candida? Nowadays, our foods don't have the nutrition. Nowadays, we are exposed to a lot of toxins, and we can be exposed to a lot of heavy metal toxins, whether you know it or not. And we're also exposed to the everyday packaging of products, because every single product that's in a plastic bag is not metal, but it is, you have to have an oil in order to oil, like petroleum oil, a petroleum product, to make anything plastic. Anything like that. And plus there's a lot of other things out there too that are made right. So when we have that overgrowth, we cannot, it creates enough havoc that we can't absorb the nutrients, and we're oxidizing the essential fatty acids, and we leave the toxin in place instead of getting rid of it. So because of that, stress is a number one problem with this too. If you know what apoptosis is, our cells are supposed to die. Every 3 months, we recycle. But if they're not happy or not good cells, then we're recycling bad cells. So if you think about Candida as our food for the digestive system, and we have too much of it, then there's things that happen. It can also cause a mirror effect of even Parkinson's and things like that too. So what do you have that's going on that you might have that Candida? What do you do for it? First, you got to clean up your diet. And stress, reduce the stress. Reduce what you're eating and get rid of the sugars. How many of you are label readers? Because if you don't read labels, there is hidden sugar in so many of our products that is unbelievable. Even ketchup has sugar in it. Well, ketchup should be just from tomatoes, but it's not, because they a long time ago realized that, hey, guess what? If we put a little bit of sugar in everything, people will love it because it's sweet. And so we end up with that craving of that sweetness. So learn to be a label reader, because you've got to get rid of the sugar. You got to get rid of the whites. You got to get rid of the breads, the carbohydrates. You got to look at that. You got to look at the alcohol consumption. And what other things are you eating? Like, are you eating mushrooms? Mushrooms is a fungi. Okay, so fungi species can increase the fungal population in your gut, something to keep in mind. And do you eat sushi? Because sushi's raw, and most of it is, some of it's not, but most of it is a raw fish. So that can also introduce different kinds of parasites. So those parasites are other living organisms that can disrupt the balance of our entire digestive system. And different medications that we are on can also cause an overgrowth of Candida. So women in particular will get yeast infections vaginally. Those yeast infections, we need an antibiotic to take care of that, but sometimes it's an antibiotic that we've taken that creates that yeast, that overgrowth of the yeast, and then we see it vaginally, okay? So we have to really think about that. And who's been on chemotherapy? Chemotherapy is and steroids and synthetics. All those are other things that will disrupt the balance of the digestive system. So we want to rebalance. And how many of us back in the day, you know, I'm 20 plus years in the dental world, and I remember, this is how long it's been, having to take the amalgam and your mercury and put them together for fillings in the mouth. Okay, so how many silver fillings do you have in your mouth now that are old from way back when? The new ones are different. They do things a whole lot different than they used to. So it's not like it was. But I remember back in those days where it's like you had to blend everything together yourself. Those things didn't come together. So those are something else to consider, mercury fillings. So if you can replace fillings, now not everybody's going to have this problem, right? And not everybody can go out there and replace silver fillings with a composite or a white filling, but that's okay because we have tools, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to find out what those tools are. I know a lot of doctors out there will prescribe your Prilosec and other kind of things that are anti-acid that actually decreases the enzymes in your digestive system. But what you want to do is you want to completely keep it balanced. But how do you do that, right? How do you balance that so that you can absorb your iron or absorb B6 and your zinc, everything that's critical that's in need for your body? Now, when we think about getting rid of or creating that balance, we want to do a cleanse to help get rid of the toxicity that's going on and the inflammation that's going on. But at the same time, we're also, when we do a cleanse, and we're going to talk about that, but when we do a complete cleanse, not only are we cleaning up the digestive system, we're going to clean up the lungs, we're going to clean up the liver, the gallbladder. We're going to help all of them function better so that we can absorb better. So let's talk about there's a couple other things that I want to talk about. And so part of that is, yes, we're going to find out what to use for tools, but I want to read something to you that unless you follow it, it's really hard to help understand. But in our intestinal tract, okay, if Candida can invade the intestinal wall, okay, and the immune system responds with inflammation. So things like Crohn's disease, IBS, all have that same scenario, that the Candida suppresses the immune system, and then it's like the immune system attacks itself, okay? So Candida stays and the inflammation is prolonged. And so this prolonged inflammation is ulcerative colitis. And if it occurs in the large intestines, so this is in the small intestines, that's what it's called if you have inflammation in the small intestines. It's ulcerative colitis. If it's in the large intestines, then that's considered Crohn's disease. So from the small to the large to the colon. So if you follow it all the way around, and we have a whole lot there, like miles and miles and miles of all that stuff, right? So that's what we need to think about is beyond the digestive, the stomach, then we've got our intestines, then we have the colon. And typically speaking, that's where all the inflammation is going to be, not just in the digestive tract. And it clings to the intestinal walls and then the wall of the colon. So how do you release all that and get rid of the inflammation so that your body can go back to a balance, a good state? Because it can be very painful. And it also can cause things like, it ends up leading to things like psoriasis, eczema, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis is even a part of that mirror of diseases. So Candida actually, the overgrowth of Candida actually puts out receptors on the cell surface, which is responders for our connective tissue. And so anything which looks like Candida, the body's immune system will attack. And because the connective tissue responders or receptors on that Candida, the body's immune system may attack other cells in the body which have the same receptors. So it gets to the point where it can't really decipher what's really good and what's bad. And so things can continue to happen. But I have great news for you. It's super easy to help with this, okay? And doTERRA made it super easy for us because lemon, oregano, and melaleuca, or tea tree, as they call it, is our #1 go-to to cleanse and get rid of all of that bad junk that lays in our digestive tract. And so even an overgrowth of Candida can also cause brain fog. So how many of us have experienced that here and there? Or that bloating feeling, and it's like, yeah, sometimes the bloatiness comes from eating too many carbohydrates, which is easy to do, especially like your rice and your beans and your flours and potatoes and all those things that have so much carbohydrates. Carbohydrates can make you tired. Pancakes. How many pancakes do you eat? Some people love pancakes, but come on, it's still something there. Something to think about. So those 3 products, you can put this, like 2 of each drop, oregano, lemon, and tea tree. You can put it in an empty capsule and take it that way, equal drops of each. But doTERRA made it simple, and they came out with this, GX Assist. And there, I just started a cleanse on myself, and I'll show you how big these are. So they're not very big, little black pills, and they really do well, even for people that are alcoholics, or they have some kind of addiction. This is really good to help with. You only need to do this for 10 days. But you've also got to follow up with a good probiotic. Okay, doTERRA made that easy too. We have a really good probiotic. And for those people that don't like capsules, and I'll show you our probiotics, but it's really pretty. They're very green. In fact, I've had these for a while. We don't use them very much. I just dropped one. But it's a darkness, but it's a green. And it's a capsule within a capsule. No, I think I lost one. Yes, I did. It went rolling across the floor. So you want to follow with a good probiotic. Now, the reason why doTERRA put the probiotic, a capsule within a capsule, because we want to get to the intestines and the colon, right? Because that's where a lot of inflammation usually sits. And most things, by the time it hits our stomach and gets through all that process, you don't have much, if anything, that gets into the intestines, or especially the colon. So the PB Assist with the capsule within a capsule, it gets there. And there's another product now that we have that's peppermint, and it's encapsulated. I don't have it here in front of me, but it's really good to help with elimination of the intestines and the colon where that inflammation is. Now, the other option is the PB Assist Junior, which I really like because for two reasons. I didn't realize my box was not open. But the PB Assist is like a pixie stick. And it's a very good product. And it's just like this, and it looks like sugar. It's not sugar, okay? And it has a strawberry flavor to it. So it tastes really good. Now for kids, 1 packet, but an adult, you want to do 2. But you can do 1 first. I recently had a young lady that has a 5-year-old daughter, and she was telling me the issues with her daughter. And from the day she was born, she had a medical problem, and she got what they would consider pneumonia. Well, they put her on antibiotics, but ever since that time, she has had problems every time. She would have the diarrhea. She'd have, they tried this, tried that. The doctors did this, doctors did that. And I gave her 3 of those PB Assist Juniors to try. And lo and behold, her daughter no longer has diarrhea. She's eating all the time. She's starting to grow again. And so all that did was, it was because of the way those are encapsulated, it's just like little sugar, but the way they're made got into the intestinal walls and helped flush things out. She says, whatever it was worked. I'm like, of course, that wasn't an overnight thing. She had to realize that this wasn't happening anymore. And all of a sudden, her daughter for a month, has not complained about her stomach hurting her. I'm like, and that's a great thing, right? Because it's when you have that problem going on all the time, you don't want to do anything. And it will stunt their growth because they're not absorbing any nutrients out of their foods, right? So of course the cleanse is a very simple thing to do, and doTERRA has a really nice cleanse with the PB Assist and follow up with probiotics. But if you really wanted to get into a really good cleanse, then look up doTERRA and a toxic cleanse, and nowadays we can all do that. But the other thing that we want to think about is, what are we going to do to help improve our immune system and get through that? Our protective blend, doTERRA's protective blend On Guard, is another way of doing that. And this can be in a diffuser. You can take it in a capsule. You can put it in your water. Now this does have clove, and it does have cinnamon in there. So some people may not like that. But a very good part of the cleanse is Zendocrine. This is the detoxifying blend. There's also one that is a whole foods capsule. But the Zendocrine will help in cleansing all the organs. So you're not just cleansing your digestive system. You're not just getting rid of the overgrowth of Candida to get back into balance. So it would be 10 days of GX Assist, 10 days of probiotics followed up, You can use the Zendocrine at the same time. If you really have a lot going on, then you might consider Zendocrine for 30 days, 2 to 3 drops twice a day. But the other thing is absorbing nutrients, and you really need to have a lot of nutrients. And omegas are part of that process, and having all of the nutrients that you need on a daily basis. Turmeric and sesame seed, pineapple extract, all those are really good for us. So doTERRA has what they call Alpha CRS Plus. This is all your nutrients that you need in this particular case. We do have Lifelong Vitality, which comes in a packet that also has your vitamins, minerals, and omegas. So these are all, they all combine together to help build a very strong immune system, or stronger immune system, and help the overgrowth of the Candida. So it's Candida albicans. And I have a dog that is whining at me. Okay. Tired of hearing the whining. Sorry for the interruption. So make sure that you're working with your doctors too, and anything that you do, make sure you let them know what you're doing, because we want to work with our doctors and we want to help them understand what we have. We don't want to just say, hey doc, I don't believe in what you're doing, or nothing's worked, so I'm going to try this over here. But just let them know, because when it does work, you want to let your doctor know, right? Because so that they can go, that's awesome. Maybe they want to know what you did, and maybe they have others that need that same information, because nothing's working for them, because most doctors want to help you one way or the other. So if we are doing something good for us, then not only is it good for us, we can help them in turn help somebody else. So when it comes to like probiotics, the probiotics help restore that GI balance, right? And it helps in getting rid of the overgrowth of the Candida. When you have a multiple or a multiple vitamin, or like an omega-3, it restores the moisture and the defective nutrients. It includes EPA and the DHA for you need about 2,000 milligrams daily. You need digestive enzymes those digestive enzymes help digest and absorb nutrients. So we have a product called Terrazyme that's phenomenal for that. And it really does help. And even if you've got allergies to dairy, this is something part of a problem in the digestive system. And so digestive enzymes are very important. Fiber supplement. Think about a fiber supplement that absorbs the toxins and it reduces the symptoms of Candida. So that die off, because they're supposed to die off. It's kind of like food for one, and then get rid of what you don't need. Don't leave it there. And then a lot of vitamin D, especially if you have like leaky gut, and it also helps in decreasing that inflammation. So vitamin D is super important. We do have, doTERRA does have products that do have the extra vitamin D in there. And we have some women's products, which are wonderful for that. But again, think about when we're doing a cleanse, we're cleansing everything, the liver, the kidneys, the lungs, the colon, not only the colon, but the lymph nodes or something else that we're looking at, plus the blood, plus your skin. Because people forget that our skin is our #1 and the biggest organ we have in our entire body. It's an organ, but we abuse it every single day. We expose it to the sun every single day. And what else do we expose it to? Things we probably shouldn't expose it to sometimes. So it's lifestyle changes. And this is really what you have to learn to do, is lifestyle changes, so that you can get through what's going on. And this isn't going to be an overnight success. Okay, this is going to be something that you're going to have to work on for some time, especially if you have a lot of chronic type illness. It'll help. And once you have something going on, you're always going to have it. And this is going to have, these products are here to help you understand what it is, what Candida is, what could you do to reduce all that inflammation so that you can actually help your body in its healing. And something too that I know a lot of people think, well, if I'm going to do a cleanse, am I going to have to go to the bathroom all the time? And it's like, no, you won't. Now, this is where I'm going to say, like, if someone uses the peppermint tablets, there are soft gels that we have, that doTERRA has, that is a possibility. Because if you've got too many and your system can't deal with it, it's got to come out somewhere. So that's what it looks like. But I promise it won't last that long. It will go away, but your body has to eliminate everything that's bad or everything that's dead in the digestive. And everything that's been hanging on at the side of those walls has to come out. There's no other way to do it. And no, you don't have to be next to a toilet. That's not going to happen. It shouldn't happen. But it's possible that you're going to have a little diarrhea here and there. So just to say, okay. Do we have anything to add, or is there anything that you want to know more about, or you got a question? Nope. So I could go on and on and on all night long about Candida, because there really is a whole lot to learn. It's not just a, it's not something that's simplified, but it has a simplified protocol that you can do as far as cleansing and cleaning up the digestive system and everything else. Because when Candida releases toxins into the bloodstream, it causes inflammation, and that inflammation is what we want to get rid of. It also, so when you have, so the thyroid, pituitary gland, and your adrenal gland are all, they're all something that is affected by your an overgrowth of Candida as well, and brain fog. And it's like, you know, I think a lot of us, when we have something going on and we're like, we try to think about, oh, well, let's work on that specific symptom, but we don't think beyond and think of what our digestive system is doing. And when I see somebody that has a lot of toenail fungus, I know they have digestive system, an overload going on. And that's when you really want to help give them the information so that they can decide to do something. You can't, like I say, you can always lead a horse to go drink water, but you can't make them drink unless you give them a lot of salt. Then they want to drink. But, you know, give them information. Is it something that they want to use or not use?
Hey, Diana, are you
Yeah.
going to do the cleanse next class?
I might do that. But I want to teach you a simple test, because doctors don't test for Candida, right? Unless it's the last resort. So there's a simple test you can do at home. So that is, get a glass of water, and room temperature water, and don't get it from tap water. If you can get bottled water or distilled water, either way, because you can have organisms in the tap water. But what you do is, first thing in the morning before anything is you spit into the glass of water, and then you leave it alone for about 20 minutes, and then come back and look at it. If you picture a jellyfish with all those little stringy tentacles, if it's got a few on there, then you're not bad. But if it's got a whole lot and it's floating on the surface, then you really want to think about doing a cleanse and get rid of the Candida that's going on. But if it sinks to the bottom and you don't have any tentacles, you can pat yourself on the back because you're doing a great job of cleaning up and keeping the Candida balanced out in your body. So that's an awesome job. You've done a really good job if you've done that. So try the spit test because it's really interesting how that happens. And people are like, really? That's just that simple? And it's like, yep, that's a simple test. Then if you really think you need it, go to the doctor and tell them that you need a test. But 9 times out of 10, that spit test, and you can look it up as well, but that spit test is pretty accurate, quite accurate. Now, as far as a cleanse, there's a complete cleanse, and I'll add that in our Facebook groups, but doTERRA has a 30-day cleanse that you can do. It's not 6 months, it's not a whole lot, it's only 30 days, and there's specific products for that cleanse. And so we can, I just might do that next. Now that you've challenged me, I've just been kind of cleaning up my gut, but I think a full cleanse would be good because I look at it this way. It's like a car that goes in for an oil change. Why do you do that every, 3,000, 6,000 miles, depending on, what you decide? Why do you do that? So that your car runs better and you get good gas mileage, or at least decent gas mileage. It may not be the best, but at least you still continue to get, a good gas mileage. Because if you don't, then your car keeps running, but it doesn't run optimal, and you don't get the optimum gas mileage. It goes less and it gets sluggish and it gets fatigued. Well, we do the same thing. So at least once a year, do a cleanse. So think of spring cleaning. Well, okay, I'm going to clean out the closet, but I'm going to clean myself too, right? Or however, or fall comes, it's like, okay, now let's get rid of what's been going on the inside. Let's get rid of let's get rid of it, right? So it makes it easy to figure that out. So yeah, doing a 30-day cleanse will be easy, and I'll put that up. I think that's time to maybe do that, and that we can get that started on our Facebook group and see who wants to participate in that with me. I've only done it for a couple days, so I could always stop and start again. Yeah. So, but yeah. So
maybe we should start it like at the, well, I guess this is the beginning of the month, huh? Start at the beginning of the month, but this is
well,
the
we
beginning of the
can
month.
prepare and maybe do it for August. So that might be something for us to consider.
Yeah, that way
it gives people time to get what they need, and all month. Yeah, that would be a good thing to do. Yeah.
Okay. August it is. It sounds great.
All right. August is the challenge for a 30-day cleanse, and we'll get that in our Facebook group.
Okay.
Thanks for the challenge, Daylene. So, it's like there are so many symptoms that come with an overgrowth of Candida that it's not funny. And even low self-esteem can be an overgrowth of Candida. So don't think that it's not something for you, because you probably are experiencing it one way or the other. You just don't know. And so you don't know what you don't know, right? So now I hope you do know, and you can help do something about that, right? Okay. So think about your lifestyle changes and the things that you can do to help with that. Yes, there's plenty of products out there to help with the physical aspects of things, but what do we do from the inside out? That's what we have to look at. So again, thanks for being here. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, And then we will look at doing a 30-day cleanse challenge come August. Woo woo! All right. Thank you much. And thanks for the challenge, Daylene. All righty. Oh, okay. So until we see each other again in a couple of weeks. All righty. Thank you. Somewhere on here, I can stop the recording. There we go.